Namaste everyone, welcome to Beyond the Headlines with me Deepti J. Verma. Today we are going to discuss a 3-day online conference called Dismantling Global Hindutva, planned by anonymous organizers in the US on the anniversary weekend of 9/11. On the surface, it looks like yet another gathering of the far left uniting in their mutual hatred for the Hindu religion, but it's much more than that this time. This is an organized, misleading, politically driven and partisan event designed only to malign an ancient way of life and its adherents. Now, while the whole world should be concerned with the swift takeover of Afghanistan by the regressive Islamist self-proclaimed jihadi Taliban, a 3-day conference on dismantling global Hindutva on the 20th anniversary of 9/11 is either very absurd or an extremely smart way to distract from who the real enemy is and make Hindus as the new radical group that should be feared by the West. Circulated on social media, the poster of the conference sneaks a false equivalence upon unsuspecting readers with lines like militant Hindu groups exist and are growing exponentially and rampant violence against minorities. But what is of a much greater cause of concern is the claim that this politically prejudiced crusade, disguised as an academic event, is supposedly co-sponsored by some 60 departments from over 45 top universities in North America, including Berkeley and the University of Illinois. Now, while the organizers choose to stay anonymous, some of the participants are the regular suspects. Nandini Sundar, who is a known Naxal sympathizer, Kavita Krishnan, an out-and-out propagandist, filmmaker Anand Patwardhan, who has often mocked Hindu texts. In the words of the organizers, this conference will examine the historical development of Hindutva, the fascist dimensions of the ideology, and its perpetuation of violence against religious minorities and other marginalized communities. But this conference seems to be a calculated attempt to spread fear-mongering about Hinduism and in turn Hindus more than anything else. A student-run movement called Hindu on Campus has already exposed the histories of several of the conference speakers. For example, Kavita Krishnan, is a member of the Communist Party of India, and she recently tweeted how the killing of a Muslim woman by her brothers was in the same spirit of the Hindu holiday of Raksha Bandhan. Neha Dikshit, another speaker, placed the blame for bodies being hastily disposed of in the holy Ganges during the last COVID surge on Hindu priests charging exorbitant prices. Another panelist, filmmaker Anand Patwardhan, is known to rehash racist colonial theories, claiming that Lord Hanuman's army in the Ramayana actually represents the Dalit community, being dehumanized and portrayed as monkeys. The 5 questions that every Hindu should ask of the xenophobic event. First, why are the organizers anonymous? Why haven't they been named? Yes, some of the featured speakers have been listed, but what about the organizers? Why are their identities, affiliations, and positions hidden? Furthermore, which departments or centers have sponsored this event? How and why? Are there faculty resolutions or departmental minutes of meetings to support and document such sponsorship? What is the nature of the support offered? Is money involved or just an endorsement by lending the name of the center, department, or university? Many of these are publicly funded institutions or schools. Remember, Hindus that constitute one of the wealthiest groups in America have a right to know, as taxpayers, if their money is being used to fund conferences that aim to attack them. Second, should such an overly political event even be given legitimacy on Western campuses, especially when it is disguised as an academic conference? US and Canadian universities are respected for allowing freedom of expression and debate. But is this kind of propaganda targeting one faith and race be called freedom of speech and thinking? More seriously, from the looks of it, the meeting is actually propaganda against the RSS and BJP. Why should university forums be allowed to be hijacked for such purposes? What about the more dangerous and obvious Hindu-phobic attitudes and ideologies behind the event? While targeting the ill-defined term Hindutva, the real peril is Hindu hatred masquerading as intellectual activism. Hindu hatred, let us not forget, may even soon lead to Hinduside. The poster shows a hammer uprooting a nail that resembles an RSS Swamsevak or worker. Isn't this an open, unabashed, and undisguised call to hatred and violence? Isn't it amazing that instead of training the ideological guns against human rights violation and atrocities such as the abduction, forcible conversion, and marriage of Hindu girls in Pakistan to older, sometimes already married men, the ethnic cleansing and widespread destruction of Hindu places of worship in Islamist areas of Pakistan and Afghanistan, the continuing violence and prejudice against Hindus in Bangladesh, or the most recent, the Taliban's fanatical, violent, women and kafir-hating track record in Afghanistan, this motley group of India bashers has resorted to such an underhanded way of dismantling what they term global Hindutva. Would many of them, being self-professed liberals, leftists and atheists, dare to organize a similar event on, say, something like dismantling global jihadism or coerced conversions by Christian missions? But more importantly, would any of the 60 departments and centers in the 45 plus universities co-sponsor such an event? Instead, the aim is to dismantle Hindutva, which nowhere in the world is properly established or documented as militant. The next question we should ask is, why is such a conference being organized in North America rather than India? As the event is online and virtual, it will reveal the networks of Hindumesia and Hinduphobia across global academia. But having lost the battle against Hindutva in India, these forces are now trying to hold on to their Western fortresses and bastions. Many Indian academics riding on such ideologies are now deeply ensconced in Western universities. They call the shots, distribute jobs, fellowships, and largesse to followers and associates. Anyone who has been a target of their tactics knows that they're a bunch of tyrants and bullies rather than truly liberal scholars who believe in dissent, debate, and dialogue. They don't give the other voice a seat at their table of tyranny. Their networks are so powerful that they have even infiltrated prestigious prizes and awards both in India and abroad. They and their gatekeepers ensure that anybody who opposes their views are kept out of these institutions. They control through elaborate blacklists and purges. To combat allegations of Hinduphobia, such intellectuals often fall back to their claim that they are only against Hindutva and not Hinduism. They say that they are against a political ideology, not a religion or its adherents. But unfortunately, that is not what actually happens. In reality, ordinary Hindus are attacked for their faith, and the prejudice against them transfers to their careers. Take Tulsi Gabbard, for example. Her popularity with Indians is well known. Part of the reason is that she is the first Hindu congresswoman in the United States. And second, that she shares a warm relationship with the Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi. She's often, time and again, raised her voice for closer ties between America and India. At the same time, she's also been vocal against Pakistani atrocities and remains one of the few politicians in the United States to have condemned the genocide of Bengali Hindus by the Pakistani army. All of this makes her much more popular amongst Indians on the internet than even Kamala Harris. But throughout her presidential campaign, she had to contend allegations of being a closet Hindu fascist. Claims were made that she has ties to Hindu nationalist groups without any evidence, merely because she was Hindu and she had a warm relationship with PM Modi. In the end, this is what dismantling global Hindutva boils down to: targeting Hindus living elsewhere solely due to their faith and their political leanings. The most important question: what should be done to counter this conference? Until now, it is a US-based activist group, Hindu America Foundation, HAF, led by its executive director, the calmly determined Suhag Shukla, which has led the charge. HAF efforts have caused several universities to disassociate with the event. Apparently, their names and logos were used without proper authorization, which actually amounts to fraud and cheating. Current and former students, teachers, and donors of these universities should write to their respective presidents to cancel the conference or disassociate themselves from it. The organizers should be exposed. Now, many Indian private initiative periodicals have already exposed the dubious motives and bona fides of the event. Even a few mainstream media networks have done their bit. But none of this is actually enough. What is needed is for Hindus to stop the self-loathing and constant appeasement of other faiths by disowning their own. We need to unite and stand up for what is right, both factually and socially. India is already being reduced to South Asia by Western academia. This attempt to either thwart our identity completely or villainize us should be stopped immediately. Just like Hindus shouldn't shy away from constructively criticizing if anything is wrong with Hindutva, they should also not hesitate to defend it from its detractors when they're so grossly mistaken or offensive.